Hi everybody, Levi Clay here, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how I like to use the half-whole diminished scale when I'm playing over minor vamps. This is a big part of the way that I play live, so it's an awesome sound and I'm sure you are going to enjoy it. This video is brought to you by my latest book, where I'm going to delve into these concepts in even greater detail. Diminished Scale Mastery for the Guitar, looks like that. Link in the description. So if you do enjoy this, please do go and check it out, because there is an incredibly in-depth breakdown, months of work, into just how much diminished scale stuff exists on the guitar and how effectively we can learn that. So all of the scale fingerings, the theory, application, playing over static vamps like this, but also functional vamps, creating tension, resolution, all of that good stuff. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. So like I say, link in the description. Please do go and check it out. Anyway, on to this particular lesson. So, while the diminished scale is more traditionally used in a functional context, and what I mean by that is we tend to play the diminished scale in order to create tension, which is resolved to the next chord in a 5-1 kind of context. What we're going to do here is we're going to ignore all of the theory, and I'm big about this, right? Although we learn all of the theory, we know all of the theory, I want you guys to throw it out the window and use the things you like the sound of. So in theory, this doesn't work, but in reality, this sounds great. And if something sounds great, then it is great. So over a minor context, I'm gonna, in this particular example, is technically, I guess it's dominant. We're thinking like G7 sharp 9. But when I solo over something like that, I'm definitely... I'm going to treat it like it's minor, right? So these are going to be licks we'll be able to use in those contexts. So rather than doing the theory thing, which is to go, okay, well, over a G minor chord, we can create a secondary dominant chord by implying a D7 chord. So if we play the D dominant... I don't like to think like that. I don't think it's a good way to think. Music is led by the ears. So I'm just going to treat the diminished scale as an outside sound, as a tension that will then be able to resolve back to our home sound. So G diminished, back to G minor. It sounds awesome. But I hear you asking the question, Levi, what is the diminished scale? Good question. I'm glad you asked. So the diminished scale is a symmetrical scale. I covered this in my other video, but the diminished scale is if you didn't see that, the diminished scale is a symmetrical scale of consecutive half steps and whole steps. So in this particular instance, we're playing in G. So we're going to start on G, and we can move up a half step, whole step, half, whole, half, whole, half, whole, so on and so forth. You have a scale. It's an octatonic scale, an 8-note scale. Now, we don't want to play our diminished scale on a single string like that, because it's quite tricky to finger. We need to be able to play this scale in position. So I'm going to give you a fingering today. That's going to be where we're going to draw most of our melodic vocabulary from. But what I will point out is that there are so many interesting ways to finger the diminished scale. I cover them in great detail in the book, so looks like that. Go check it out, link in the description. The fingering we'll use today, if we start on our G root note, is we'll play 5-6, and then 3-4-6, then we'll play 3-5-6, and then 3-4-6-7. That's the scale, and we can practice that as a scale. We continue down. It's a really interesting sounding scale. That you hear in a rock context especially. Jimmy Herring loves this scale, and rightfully so. It's just, it's such a cool sounding scale. He's a cool sounding player. So go and check out Jimmy Herring if you haven't already. So the interesting thing about the diminished scale is it's also symmetrical. So that means that when I've learned this, I can move this up in 3-fret intervals. And I'm still playing that same diminished scale. I'm still creating the sound of diminished over a G. it back to G minor, it's a great sound. And we're going to use that to its full, possibility today. So what we're going to do is when we learn our lick, I'm going to teach you the lick in one area, but then I want you to then take the lick and move it to those 3-fret intervals and practice playing it in each area and resolving back to G minor, because that's the skill, being able to effectively resolve these lines. So the first lick that we're going to look at is, it steers into what I call a guitar-based approach, because for me the diminished scale was a hard scale to really get good at, because the nature of its symmetrical fingerings is that it can be quite tricky to physically play a lot of the sequences that saxophonists tend to practice on the guitar. But there are some things that the guitar does really well. So I have found that when I play my scale shape, if I start it on the B flat, if I play 7/6 and then 9/6 and then 7/6 and then 9/6, we have this pseudo pentatonic scale. And what I mean when I say pentatonic is 2 notes per string. You can, get really rocky with it like that. We're going to essentially play a little part of that. So I'm going to start at the top of the scale, and we're going to play this. So just staying in position, coming down, and then what is that? It's still just diminished scale. I'm just shifting back to get one of my notes rather than reaching up. Same notes, right? I should point out all of this is transcribed. Link in the description to my Patreon page where you can download a transcription for all of these licks. Learn them at your own pace. So if I play this real slow, I'm just going to continue down my diminished scale. Now I'm back on G. So I'm going to resolve this by moving up a G minor 7 arpeggio. So that's the lick, right? But as I say, the challenge comes in that when you've learned it and you've practiced it, we should be able to play it here. But now I need to resolve back to G. So there's lots of ways to do that. Infinite ways that we can do that. But we need to be confident as guitar players that we can explore some of these and find some of these. Let's do another one. That, classic rock guitar phrasing stuff. We want to be good at that. All of that stuff sounds great. So that's the lick, and we should be able to do it anywhere. Here, here, here. Or here. There's, as I always say, there's limitless ways that we can find these particular resolutions, and we just have to get good at looking for them. Look for them, look for them, look for them, and you get better and better and better at finding them. Anyway, so here's me playing that to a click track with the chord behind me so you can hear what it sounds like on its own. Sounds like this. Now here's that same lick, but this time played over the backing track. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it and move it to different positions and resolve them in different ways each time. That sounds like this. Okay, so our second lick is going to start out with a G minor 7 arpeggio, kind of like G minor 13 actually. So up here at the 10th fret, I'm thinking this, you know my pentatonic scale. So I'm going to move up my minor 7 arpeggio, slide down to the 6. Then we're going to come up, G minor arpeggio. And we're going to then shift down to that D flat. Now this is going to be my way into the diminished scale. Now when I'm here, we could just play diminished. But we're not going to do that. We're going to come down the scale to the 8th fret on the D string, and then ascend back up, and then back to that 8th fret, which is the minor 3rd of G. We'll bring it back on home to the root note. So as a lick in its entirety, I play with this triplet at the start: 3, 4, 1. And I think this is a really good one because it leaves some space where you can fill in that blank with something that sounds bluesy. So I play the lick. And I play. Want to play this round and round and round until you can slip in and out of that lick in natural sounding ways. And then when you've got it, we could then move it down 3 frets. But now we need to make sure that when we move down, we resolve to G. We can't go, because we're not in it. We're in G. Again, higher. Always resolving back to G. Down here, D flat. Sounds good, right? So that's the lick. I play this way too much in my own improvising. Anytime I'm thinking of that shape 4, minor pentatonic, A shape. Awesome sounding lick, awesome sounding little finger pattern that creates for me at least, the perfect amount of, oh, what's that? Where's that going? And then you resolve it, and it's very pleasing, very, very cool. So that is our second lick. Let me play that with a click track so you can play along with me. Sounds like this. And here's that second lick, now played along with the backing track. Again, I'm going to play it in different positions and see if I can resolve the idea in different ways to make it sound a little bit musical. So that's going to sound like this. Okay, on to our third and final lick. Now this is definitely the hardest. Everything that we've covered so far has used the diminished scale in a very linear way. And what I mean by that is we tend to be playing a lot of scale runs. We tend to be playing using it in a line-based fashion. But for me, when I listen to saxophonists improvise or piano players, they tend to use a lot more vertical lines. You know, when we play a diminished scale, there's lots of notes in there. There's a G major triad, there's an E major triad, there's a B flat major triad, there's a B flat minor triad. There's all these triads that exist within that scale form. And I cover these in great detail in the book, link in the description. But I'm going to show you one of those lick ideas that I like to play using the diminished scale. So same principle, right? If we were in this G minor here, what I like to do is I'll start on my G root, move up a semitone, and when I'm here I can play an E major triad, and then move up a semitone, come down a B flat minor. And when I'm here, the B flat, I'll move to B and I'll move up a G major triad. Nice little thing to good alternate picking practice that. Okay, get to the top of a G. I'll move up a semitone and come down an E major. Then I can move up a B flat minor and resolve onto that. What is this? This is B natural. It's the third of our chord. So now I want to bring it on home. So how can I bring it on home? Well, I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm just coming. I've gone linear again, right? That's fine. Vertical approach, triads, scale. Doesn't matter what we do. I just wanted to explore those triads. And that's a really cool pattern because, again, if I move it up a third, that's easy for me to do as a guitar player, much harder for a pianist to do because they've got a new set of triads. It's now G major, D flat minor, B flat major, G major, D flat minor. I don't have to think like that. Or if I move up again. That's really cool. Your alternate picking needs to be really good to get that. Now, of course, I'm playing that with a little bit of a swing. And the reason I like to play with a swing, it's twofold, right? One, I love the way it feels. But two, it encourages me to get better at alternate picking. Because trying to sweep that with economy picking, which is how I learned to play, is very tricky. It's very difficult to get a good swing feel with economy of motion in the picking hand, whereas the alternate picking motion, very easy to get a good groove of that. So one more, I guess. You could practice that when you go. So again, once you can do it, once you've got the lick down, it's about working into it, out of it, and resolving. So if I go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I'll stop before I get too carried away, and before you know it, we're here for a week. For me, that's a big way that I like to practice. I like to put on a backing track, or I'll set up a groove on my loop pedal, and I will play and play and play and see what happens. When I find an idea I like, I'll just keep exploring it until it gets under my fingers, and then before you know it, the weekend comes around, I've got my gig, I go and play, and when I close my eyes and solo, some of this stuff sneaks in there, and in those settings you work out what works and what doesn't, and that's cool to me, that kind of exploratory approach to music. Very cool, very exciting. Anyway, let me play that for you now along with a click track so you can practice along. It sounds like this. And finally, here's that lick played along to the backing track again. I'll play it in one position, then move it up the neck, resolve it differently each time. Do your best to copy what it is that I'm doing, or try and make some of your own connections. Sounds like this. And there we have it, guys. 3 licks, just 3 licks there, using this diminished scale. Hopefully you've enjoyed the way it sounds. To me, magic sounding scale. There's nothing that excites me quite like the diminished scale. It's very, very cool. And if you have enjoyed the sound of that diminished scale, well, consider checking out my new book. We are here to talk about that. If you want to learn all the fingerings that you might need to know, all of the theory, application, all the cool contexts that you can use diminished in, and loads of cool vocabulary for you to get your fingers around, that's definitely the best place to go. So link in the description. And if you don't want to check out the book, well, that's absolutely fine too. Maybe just help me out by hitting that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I've been Levi Clay, you've been awesome, and I will see you for another video very soon. Laters.